Welcome to a time lapse of two oval vignette portraits. This is mattphilleo, and here I'm showing how I worked on a couple of portraits close to Christmas time, and because they came in right around the same time, I did them simultaneously. They were for the same client, a portrait of his family members, and here I am just blocking in the initial values. As you can see, very simple in the beginning. I use a glazing technique, and so with the glazing technique we use very thin layers of paint. They're thinned out with matte medium. That's a clear acrylic medium without the pigment, and it thins down the paint to a very transparent or translucent level. And so in the initial stages we're just blocking in very faintly the main differences in values, using simple colors like raw umber dark and ultramarine blue, and then we start introducing some other colors like phthalo green and alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, raw sienna into the flesh tones. You can see it's very light, and we try to keep everything in the paintings moving ahead at the same time. So we're not trying to concentrate on one area, finishing it off, but rather working on the whole painting at once and just establishing all the major tones with several layers. I can easily put in 50 to 100 layers within the painting, and you can see we're going over the same areas again and again, but each time we're adding more nuances, more depth, more detail, adding shading and gradation, differentiation between values, different colors introduced each time, and eventually the painting comes together a lot like a Polaroid photograph. If you remember those old Polaroid photographs, you'd take the picture and it would shoot out a piece of film, and it would develop within 15 seconds to 30 seconds, and you'd have a finished image that you could look at. It's kind of the same principle here. We're just slowly fading in the painting from a sketch to completion. So here I'm explaining about the painting and then diving back into the clothing, adding raw umber dark, ultramarine blue, working in the nuances of the wrinkles. And because you use so many layers, the light actually shines through all these different layers of paint, these translucent layers of paint, and it builds up a luminosity and depth. As the light shines through, reflects off the white of the canvas, back through these layers of paint into your eye. It gives an acrylic painting an effect almost like an oil painting, whereas acrylic can tend to look a little flat just because it is a plastic kind of a resin. When you use the glazing technique, it gives it a luminosity and depth that again makes it look similar to oils. And that's some of the comments I've received on my work, that people think they're oil paintings, although they do start off looking like watercolors, but eventually they will finish off with that really nice depth that you might expect in an oil painting, at least as close as you can get with acrylic. Here you see I'm adding some details to the background, and we're diving back in, adding little nuances at a time on her eyebrows and her eyes, little details around the eyes, just giving them more depth. And realism really is achieved by adding the right values in the right place along with the right colors. And so now moving to the portrait on the right, don't want that one to feel left out. Again, since I was painting this on a deadline for Christmas, the best way to get them both done was to do them simultaneously. That way when I had color on my palette, I could use them for both paintings. While one was drying, I could shift to the other one. So here I'm just working on the background, kind of adding some more contrast, adding some of the details of the woodwork, having it come forward in perspective to give the painting more depth. And then also adding some of the horizontal lines going across, detailing on the woman's shirt, and then the steps, and then also just adding some details going across, linear. You can see those little striations really makes the woodwork pop, and it gives it more realism. But it's so easy to do with the glazing technique because you're, again, combining the effects of many different layers. You don't have to do it all at once. So it kind of allows you just to relax, enjoy the process, and just slowly watch your painting develop over time. On the other side, on the painting on the left side, I'm just working on the background. I'm adding nuances of ultramarine blue and raw sienna, just darkening that. And then back to the face, detailing the eyes, darkening the eyelash area, which really makes those eyes pop. And it's not something you can do all within one layer. Several layers is what it takes to get those little micro nuances, so that when a person looks at the painting close up, it actually looks just as good as it does from a distance, maybe even better, because you're seeing all those all those fun nuances and details and interesting things that make it worthwhile for the viewer to take a closer look. Now I'm blending in some skin tones on the arm, and then going into the little container that she's holding as she's in the swimming pool, adding some nuances to the legs, some colors reflecting off of that, and then onto her leg, and then to the background. You can see I'm just skipping around everywhere. Again, I want to make sure the painting is getting finished at the same level, that no one area on the painting is getting too much attention. But again, I want to complete it all about the same time. And then the advantage of that is that you can always turn in the painting to the client. You don't feel like you have a spot on the canvas that's undone. It's just a matter of bringing everything to a higher level. Now working on the painting on the right, adding some details to the boy's face, just little nuances to give it more depth, and then some work on the background. Skipping around while I have one color on my palette, maybe a blue gray. I'm just going to add some more details to the background. And with that, we call the painting finished. And so here's what the final painting looks like. And you can see just the depth that you can achieve with the acrylic glazing technique. It's pretty amazing. I recommend that you try it. You can learn more about this technique at my website, realisticacrylic.com. That's realisticacrylic.com. I have dozens of tutorials there covering all different aspects of portrait painting. And then here on this YouTube channel, you'll see this particular painting broken down with some other videos where I actually explain it real time what I'm doing and what color choices I'm using for the skin tones. And so definitely take a look at those as well. But be sure to sign up for my weekly updates at realisticacrylic.com. I send out some emails with things that you won't find on YouTube or other places. And anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to connect with you further. If you have any questions or need any help on your portraits, just let me know. I'll be happy to help. All right, God bless. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.